I'm Julie Baumgardner, and this is the Marriage on the Daily podcast, the podcast designed to give you tools and encouragement to help you do married well on the daily. Because after all, it isn't the grand gestures that make or break your marriage. It's actually what you do or don't do on the daily that either builds a strong foundation or chips away at your core. You can do this, and I'm here to help. Welcome to the Marriage on the Daily podcast. I'm your host, Julie Baumgardner. My guest today is Mike Foster. He is an author, speaker, and executive coach, and his goal is to help people stop solving the wrong problem. So listen up, because I think a lot of us could fall in this category. And he encourages people to start leading out of clarity, not confusion. He has been doing this work for 20 plus years. And today we're going to be talking about his book, Seven Primal Questions, which is so interesting. He is married to Jennifer. They've been married for 31 years. They have 2 adult children and 2 really cute fur baby Pomeranians. And I am just so excited to have this conversation with you, Mike. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Julie. This is I'm excited to talk about this because I love helping couples and I love helping marriages and relationships because I have been married for 31 years and I'm still trying to figure all of this stuff out.
Aren't we all? It's a journey, right?
Yes, it really is.
Yeah. Well, I have heard you teach, and you just do such a great job of breaking things down, making them practical, and really usable. So, like, people could listen to us today and then start using what you are talking about. So, I would love for you to talk about how did you get to the 7 primal questions, and what are they? And then how do we actually use the information of figuring out, oh, this is my primal question? How do we use that to help us show up as the best version of ourselves in our marriage?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times we'll, as couples in a relationship, we'll have a desire to make things better, right?
For sure.
We'll see certain things that need improvement, and there is this sense of I want to work on it, but we often are working on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Or we haven't really clearly identified what's going on here that is causing the conflict or the challenge in our relationship. And so when I'm working with people, we're always going towards the root, the core root.
I love that. Yes.
Because most of our fights and conflicts and challenges, we spend most of that energy and time up in what I call the canopy of the tree, in the branches. And unfortunately, what happens when we're in the branches is we're in an infinity loop.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And if we keep having those kinds of conversations and talking about those sorts of things, it's just like Groundhog's Day,
Yes.
over and over again. It's the same issue, the same problems, the same outcomes, the same drama and nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have just found not only in my own relationship, but helping couples, if we can get into the core of something and get to the root of something, get out of the canopy of the tree, we can really accelerate breakthrough. And then all of a sudden we're having the right conversation. So the 7 primal questions is really about identifying the question that your spouse or the person that you're in a relationship with is asking, and understanding that that question is paramount in their life and in this relationship with you. And when you answer that question with a yes, life is going to work for you. Your relationship is going to work.
Yes.
But when you answer that question unintentionally, accidentally, with a no or a maybe, you're going to get a certain type of relationship with that person.
Yeah.
And so this is where the 7 primal questions comes into play. Is like we're focusing on the most important thing, the language underneath the language that we're using. It gets us out of the canopy of the tree and into the roots.
Yes. So would you say the canopy could also be always dealing with the symptoms, of an issue versus actually digging down to where is this coming from? Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
The deeper why, the deeper need that your spouse or partner has, that they're actually, that's what got triggered. That's what got unmet in them, which is why you're getting the particular reaction. The way that I like to describe the primal question framework is it's a really a needs based therapy or coaching where underneath our behaviors, like we often sometimes will attack behaviors and go, why is he so angry, or why is she so nitpicky, or and we see these behaviors and we try to work on behaviors in our relationship.
Yeah.
We're like, well, that's the canopy of the tree. Behaviors are in the canopy. Or then we go, okay, what's driving behaviors? What's driving behaviors typically is emotions and feelings, right? And so we got, okay, let's just work on our emotions and feelings and talk about those. Well, that's very complicated. I don't know if you've seen the emotion wheel lately, but there's
I
a
know.
lot of emotions
There's
on
a
there.
whole lot. Yes.
And I can barely understand my own emotions, let alone my spouse's emotions. And so like there's a complexity there.
Yeah.
But what sits underneath emotions, so emotions sit under behavior. What sits under emotions and feelings is an unmet need.
Yeah.
And so the primal question is really going right to the heart of that unmet need and naming it very clearly, and then driving the conversation towards that unmet need, and staying out of the conversations about behaviors, and staying out of the conversations around emotions and feelings, and going to really what's driving it all.
Which is what people so desperately want, but I think they get caught up in the canopy, if you will. They don't ever
Yes.
get to what's really going on underneath. And I'm curious, why do you think, I mean, I know you said that emotions are complicated, but what do you think keeps people from actually being willing to dig down and figure out what the need is?
I think the first thing is we don't know how. Most of us probably grew up in family contexts or were taught that our needs were not important, that there's no room for our needs. I think sometimes even in our churches or in theology, it's like, my needs are not important. I just need to be focusing on meeting the needs of others. And so I think the first problem in all of this is that we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to name a need and express a need without feeling sort of guilt or shame or like minimizing or diminishing that. I think the second thing is that a lot of us come with a lot of fear around naming a need, because when we have named a need in the past, maybe that need has been rejected or belittled or used against us. And so there's fear around naming clearly our needs. And so those sorts of things really work against the right conversations that we need to have. I really think like with the Seven Primal Questions, one of the missions I'm on is really rebranding needs and making them okay to talk about, making them a strategic part of our lives versus something that we're embarrassed of or feel like is a sign of weakness or makes us a bad person because we actually have a need.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you name the seven primal questions for
Yes,
us?
absolutely. So the seven questions really represent seven core needs or seven primal needs.
So, everybody
And
has all of them. Is that right?
everybody has parts of all seven
Okay.
because that's what makes us human
Yeah.
beings.
Okay.
As human beings, you have a need. Uh, but the thesis of the work is that there's one of those needs that is really driving the ship. Okay, it's really the need that creates the most anxiety and stress and conflict in your life when that need goes
Yeah.
unmet. And it all traces back, as all things do, Julie, back to our early
Yep.
childhood, okay, when this particular need was unmet or was confusing or was met with a big no from our caretakers,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And so the primal question number one is the question, am I safe? And this is really the need for emotional and physical safety in your life. And typically, if you have this question, you grew up in a home where perhaps there was abuse or neglect or something traumatic happened to you where safety was taken away. There was nothing predictable. So it's what I like to call you were raised by a storm and you're forced to prevent or predict because you didn't have safety in your emotional ecosystem.
Okay.
The second question is, am I secure? This really has to do with, do I have enough financial resource to protect myself? It's not so much about like this. The difference is it's really between safety and security. Security is about, do I have enough money? Do I have enough resource? Do I have enough relationships to where I feel secure? And a lot of times people with this particular primal question have this question come from an family ecosystem of, money was tight, a scarcity mindset around things, that there wasn't enough. Maybe dad had problems holding down a job. And so like just this kind of like, I don't know if we have enough.
Yes.
And so typically what happens is the child takes on the responsibility of that. So instead of the parent creating security for the child or the parent creating safety for the child then takes on the responsibility of that need. And this is true of all 7 questions. So question number 3, let me go to the 7, then we'll talk more.
Okay.
Question number 3 is the question, am I loved? And this is really just the need to be seen, heard, and known. This is where listening is really important. This isn't about like romantic love or Valentine's Day love. This is about, do you see me? Are you leaning in with me?
Yes.
Do you care about what I have to say?
Yeah.
That is the question that the person would be asking. And again, these questions are deep, deep down in our subconscious. We're not necessarily saying this out loud to all of our relationships or throughout the day, but our lives and our activities and our relationships all revolve around this question being either answered with a no or a yes.
Yes.
Question number 4 is the question, am I wanted? This is really the need to belong, to be connected, to have a tribe, to be pursued. Obviously, you could see like in a marriage, if your primal question is, am I wanted? And your husband is not pursuing you, isn't doing anything like to engage you in romance or taking you out to dinner or those sorts of things, that can answer your primal question with a no.
Right.
Okay. And that's going to be creating conflict in your relationship.
Yes.
Question number 5 is the question, am I successful? This is the need to win and to achieve. Question number 6 is, am I good enough? This is the need to feel valued and worthy. And this tends to be framed around performance. Like the more I do, the better I am, the more excellent I am, the more perfect I am, then I can get a yes to the question, am I good enough?
Yeah.
And then question 7 is the question, do I have purpose? And this is really the need for significance, the need to have impact in our lives and in the things that we do.
Okay, so I have to say, I went and I took the quiz, and I want to encourage everybody to do it. I mean, I've done lots of quizzes, but I thought that this one was interesting to take, didn't take a long time. And so I landed on, am I loved? Which was interesting because my dad left when I was 17, and I was such a daddy's girl. And I honestly do not think I would have said that's the one, that's the need for me. However, when I read all the information, I was like, okay, well, that I could see how that's me. So it's just interesting. So people can go take the quiz on your website, right? Which is?
Yep, primalquestion.com. And it's totally free. It takes about 5 to 7 minutes to do. And you'll get not only your question, but you'll get some coaching and some insights around your question and kind of some simple next steps to start applying in your relationships and to your own personal development.
Which is exactly where I want to go next. And that is, how do you take this information? Because I agree with you that for some of us, it's scary to go and see this need and have the fear, oh my gosh, what if I know this about myself and it still isn't met? And so my question is, am I reliant on my spouse to figure out how to meet this need for me? Or are there things that I can do myself to help deal with this?
Great question. I can't tell you how many times I have been with couples and we've been talking about the primal question. And let's just say, Julie, let's just use your primal question of, am I loved? And we're saying, okay, tell your spouse how to answer that question with a yes. What would that look like, Julie? And Julie, you answer, well, he should just know. Okay.
Exactly.
Or you say something like this, I want him to court me.
Yeah.
What does that mean, Julie?
Right.
Nobody knows. Yeah. There's no action item coming out of court me. Yeah. Okay. And so the first thing that we have to realize, if we want a better relationship with our spouse, is we have to better understand ourselves.
Yes.
And we have to name the needs specifically. Like, Julie, what does that specifically look like? Well, I just want him to take me out to dinner. Okay, Julie, how many times a week would you like him to take you out to dinner? Well, I'd like him to take me out once a week on Friday nights. Okay, great, Julie, that's even clearer. Now, Bob over here, I'm going to take you out to dinner on Friday nights, and he takes you to Chipotle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And you're like, and now you're angry at Bob, okay? Because he's doing exactly what you said for him to do.
Yeah.
So when we are talking about our needs, we need to be so specific and so clear. It's an unspoken expectation is an unfair expectation.
Oh, I love that.
An unclear need is never going to be met.
Yeah.
All right. And the only person that can clarify the need is you.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting specific, getting it to where this can be like in a contract, it's so clear. Mm-hmm. And we know when you're doing it and we know when you're not.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing I want to say is that it is not your spouse's responsibility to always meet your need 100% of the time.
Yeah, I think we need to dig down into that, because in our culture today, we have really come to this place where your spouse is supposed to be your be-all, end-all. Your everything, meet all your needs, be your confidant, be your lover, be your best friend, all the things. Yes. And it's kind of a setup, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's I've heard it described as when we put all of our eggs in that basket, you have to be my lover and my rescuer and my provider, and you have to be everything. What happens is those expectations are so high that as you climb that mountain of expectations, the relationship runs out of oxygen. The relationship cannot sustain those high expectations. Yeah. And so when we're talking about the 7 primal questions, and whatever your primal question might be, there's 3 areas where we need to seek to meet that need. Okay. The first area would be God. God wants to answer your primal question with a yes 1,000 times.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we allow him to answer our primal question with a yes. Secondly, we allow our relationships, and not every relationship is responsible for answering our primal question with a yes.
Yeah.
These are our trusted, close people that we rely on, and we allow them to enter this vulnerable place of expressing our core need to them and inviting them into participating with us on that need, not demanding that they meet the need.
Yeah.
And so, and this would be close friends. Certainly our spouse would be in that category. We allow others to answer our primal question with a yes. So we have God, we have others. And then the last category of yeses that we seek out for our primal question is you answer your own primal question with a yes. Okay.
Yeah.
We actually take ownership. And I talk about this in the book. It's called self-leadership around your need.
Yes.
And so what happens for me is my primal question is actually, am I safe? And so if I export all of that responsibility to others, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay. God is always answering that primal question with a yes. So I want to definitely rely on him. Yes, I want to invite others into answering my primal question, am I safe, with a yes. I talk about this with my wife, Jennifer. We talk about specifically how she can do this, answer with a yes, the things that she might do that answers it with a no.
Mm-hmm.
But then I need to remind myself that I can meet my need of safety also,
Yeah.
right? And so sometimes when I'm talking with individuals or even couples, I think sometimes we still see ourselves as these little kids who can't actually meet our own need.
Yeah.
So when I was a little kid, I couldn't necessarily meet my need for safety.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm an adult now. I always say, Mike, you got to remind yourself you're 6'3", okay? You're an adult now. That I have resources that would help me feel safer. There's things that I can do and choices that I can make, perhaps that I couldn't make as a child, to create safety. And so when you remind yourself that you, Julie, are loved, and Mike, that you are safe, you show up in this different place of empowerment. And we stop living from what I call the kid logic, where we keep wondering, am I really safe? Is catastrophe waiting for me? Or Julie, like, does anybody love me? And that's all kid logic, kind of the wounded child thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Versus stepping into our, what I call the wise, empowered adult. And I can look at my life. I live in the suburbs of San Diego. Okay. I'm not in danger. I am not on a war zone here.
Yeah.
I don't have gang members walking the streets of San Diego suburbs here. I am safe. And so when I get into my wise, empowered adult mindset, I'm answering my own question with a yes.
Yeah. I love that. I am curious, especially for someone whose need is to answer the question, am I safe? Sometimes environments, don't feel safe. They feel emotionally exhausting. Or maybe even some might say emotionally abusive. So for someone who's listening to this and saying, okay, I actually have taken the quiz and I know what my question is, and I absolutely am reliant on the Lord, and I have some good friends, but maybe my marriage is struggling. What would you say to them in terms of this question, and how do you deal with the situation you find yourself in?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is we are not talking about abusive or toxic relationships, because that's called denial. If we're just like, oh yeah, no, I'm safe when I'm in a abusive relationship, we're not living in a wise, empowered adult state there.
Yes.
In fact, that is a lot of the kid logic. It's just we're going to pretend.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we look at the situation, it's not an opportunity to for us to like continue in denial. We have to look at something for what it is, and that's when we get into this wise, empowered adult place. We're like, okay, is my spouse intentionally harming me or hurting me or trying to make me feel unloved or unwanted or unsafe or unsuccessful? Is feeling like they're purposely making me feel I am not good enough, versus probably where it's happening in most relationships, it's an unintentional no to that question.
Yes.
And I always encourage couples that it's very difficult to solve your own problems with the two of you get a coach, get a marriage coach, get a therapist, get somebody that can help you really be a translator, because that's typically what's going on in couples, is that
Yeah.
there's the desire for connection and closeness and to answer the question and meet the core need that my spouse has. But we're caught in some bad systems. We're caught in the canopy of the tree. We're focusing too much on the wrong things. And that's where like therapy or marriage coaching can be very helpful to people.
Yeah. So I love the clarification there, because for those folks that maybe have been functioning in some denial, here's an opportunity to seek help. And I also love just this conversation around get a third party involved. Even if you are healthy, but you find yourself spinning, because one, we know that couples on average wait 7 years to ask for help, which is a really long time. So going to somebody, my experience with that is people wait a long time to ask for help. Then they come and they do ask for help, but they want it fixed tomorrow. They want the super secret sauce tomorrow,
Yeah.
which there is none of that. However, so many marriages, the majority of marriages, perfectly good marriages, they just need a little help getting out of the ditch, if you will, and thinking
Yes.
through the issues and really understanding where you're coming from when it comes to these conversations. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think this is why I do the work that I do and talk about the 7 primal questions, because you can get into therapy or you can get into marriage coaching. And if you're not having this conversation, then you're probably having the wrong conversation. In fact, I work with a client who just went through a divorce, and they were in therapy for 6 years. And he found my work recently, and he just said, if we would have been talking about this in therapy, I don't think we would have gotten the divorce. But we weren't talking about this. We're in the canopy of the tree. And so it's a combination of not only getting help and saying, hey, we need some help, a third party help,
Yes.
but making sure that we're actually focused on the right issues
Yeah. Yeah.
in order to get the right outcomes.
Yeah, because if you don't get down to the need, if you don't get down to the root, you will always be dealing with the symptoms. And I think in talking with couples who tend to stay in the canopy, if you will, they express a dissatisfaction with being in the canopy. They just can't figure out how to get down to the root.
Yes,
Which is what I
exactly.
think your questions do a great job of, just practically doing that.
Yeah, and I don't know what the statistics are on this, but it's a very high percentage of quote unquote problems in marriages are actually chronic problems.
Yeah.
And so it's not that, hey, the primal question is going to solve the chronic problem, but what it is saying is that we're at least now having the right discussions around our chronic problems, a bit more compassion towards each other, because now this isn't just some in the moment triggered experience. This is something that has been the need for safety has been with me my entire life.
Yes.
Julie, your need for love has been with you your entire life. This isn't personal attack towards your spouse. This is just something that is now a part of our relationship, and it can be managed in a very healthy way.
Yeah.
Versus trying to like fix things. You know, I always say, like, don't work on your problems, work on your connection.
Oh,
And what the primal question allows you to do is work on a healthier connection, not try to solve all the problems of your marriage.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes along with continuing to stay curious. I mean, we're in our 37th year, and we were laughing yesterday. We were out walking, and I said, what I really do love about us is that we still really like each other, and we love each other. Like, we have a genuine friendship, and we can have a good time together. And I think part of that is just being willing to remain curious and recognizing that neither one of us are perfect. Sinners saved by grace, and we get to do this journey together. And the more that we can remain lifelong learners about each other, the better. And the more we learn about each other. I mean, he's constantly teaching me and helping me to grow, learning more about myself, and vice versa. And I love that.
Yes. Yeah, curiosity is one of the best qualities you could add to any relationship. Helping, getting a sense like, why is this occurring to my spouse this way? Why are they reacting this way? Versus judgment or labeling something. Getting curious is really such a great quality for healthy marriages and relationships. I love, you always say marriage is, a perfect God working out his perfect love in two imperfect people.
Yeah.
And we have to embrace the fact that we are imperfect and we're not supposed to be perfect. We're just supposed, I think, curiosity, love, understanding, generous explanations of why things happen and why we let each other down and come up short. All that's part of marriage. And so I think a healthy curiosity just helps us puts ourselves in the right mindset about how to work on the things that are difficult or challenging in a relationship.
Yes. Couldn't agree more with that. And, I was thinking as you were talking earlier about level setting expectations, if you will, and having unrealistic expectations. You're expecting your spouse to do all of these things. And I was just thinking, it'd be interesting to turn the mirror on yourself and ask yourself, am I actually living up to my own expectations in terms of what I'm asking my spouse to live up to? Because I think often the answer is, wow, I would never expect all of that from me.
Absolutely. Well, ownership, anytime we can be finding ownership in a discussion or in our relationships, you're on the right track. Personal responsibility, because we're in our most empowered place. We have the most choice when we are in ownership, but when we are sort of in blame, when we are in sort of like, this is your fault, this is your responsibility, we become very powerless in that state. And I always like to remind couples that 50% of any relationship is 100% you, and you really should work on that 100% as much as you can.
That is so good. That is so good. So beyond the questions and having the conversations, what else would you want people to know as they're listening to this in terms of what you can do with this, like how it can transform your marriage?
Yes. Well, what I like to say about the primal question, and this isn't just about romantic relationships, but this is for friendships, this is for working relationships, if you're working for a boss, is that you cannot stay in a relationship with a person who continually answers your primal question with a no or maybe. It fundamentally, the relationship will not work, okay? It will come to an end. And so this is where the challenge to couples is like, you want to go the distance, you want to go 50, 60 years of marriage, then you better understand your spouse's primal question and how to answer that with a yes, and also understand the things that you're currently doing that are answering it with a no or a maybe. Because at the heart of this conversation is the relationship will not fundamentally work if you are not getting strategies to answer this need with a yes. And so I don't believe that marriages break up because they didn't go on enough dates or they fought about money or didn't have enough sex. They break up because the couple was not answering or attuning to each other's primal question.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Okay. So you've worked with loads of couples. Have you experienced a couple that came in and were at their wits' end and you help them through the seven primal questions. They found their question and they changed.
Yes. So here's what I love about it is most couples are surprised how fast the healing and the repair and the growth can happen in a relationship when you're actually having the right conversation. And so what's really fun about this work is that it is not long. It's not long. We're not doing a marathon together.
Yeah.
Like basically probably in 4 to 5 sessions, there can be such a jump forward in somebody's relationship with their spouse because now they're talking about the right thing and naming the need and clearly stating how to this is how to answer my primal question with a yes. Here's the playbook for that. I want to be very clear. Are you willing to participate in that? Yes. Are you committed to this? Yes. Just kind of some basic, simple things. And when we can show up as adults, when we can show up in that clarity, when we get out of the canopy and into the roots, I've seen couples all the time jump forward. Now, the key with this isn't just like the breakthrough or the awareness, it's the practice.
Yes.
And so it's shocking to me that couples can have this breakthrough, not shocking, but interesting how that they could have this breakthrough and be aware of their primal questions and what's going on here, and they see the matrix, and yet they're so conditioned or so patterned to fight in the canopy or talk in the canopy that they forget that they need to go to the roots.
Yeah.
And so we got to continue to build those muscles.
Yeah.
And so I'll be sitting with couples sometimes like, well, did you after this challenge and this fight or whatever, did you start talking about each other's primal question here? Oh no, we just stayed up in the nuts and bolts and the playbook of what she did to offend me and what she said or what he said and why I was so angry. And it's like, no, we're in the canopy. How did she make you feel unloved? How did he make you feel like you were not good enough? Question 6. Let's talk about that. And so it is practice, but it can accelerate very fast for couples.
Yeah. So it's not a magic be all end all fix. It is revealing information that you can take and you can use, and it absolutely can transform your marriage, is what I hear you saying.
Yeah, I always use the solar system as an example here of this. So,
all right.
In the 17th century, Galileo discovered that the Earth wasn't the center of our solar system, right? Mm-hmm. That the sun was the center of the solar system. So in your marriage, basically what we're doing is reorienting you because you think the Earth is the center of the solar system. And maybe you think behaviors is the center of the solar system, or emotions are the center, or date night is the center of the solar system. And when you are talking about the primal question, you're actually putting the sun in the center of the solar system and understand how everything orbits and revolves around that. I would say the primal question is the thing underneath the thing that's driving everything. It is the sun in the center of your solar system. And when you get that picture and when you understand that the Earth is not the center, but the sun is the center, wow, like everything can fundamentally change in that moment.
It's the thing underneath the thing that's driving
Everything. That's right.
I love that. Man, this is so good. Before we wrap, I want to ask you to tell us, one, the website where they can go take the quiz again.
Primalquestion.com.
Okay.
And it's totally free. You'll see a little button that says take the assessment and you'll be off and running.
Okay. And then you have a podcast where you talk about all things primal, right? What is the name of that?
Yes, I do. It's just the Primal Question podcast with Mike Foster.
Okay.
It's on iTunes and all the places podcasts are at.
Okay.
And also do a weekly newsletter. If you're interested in this topic and really kind of diving deeper into how this impacts your relationships, your communication, your parenting style, I encourage people to join that weekly newsletter too.
Perfect. Okay. And I ask all my guests, what's one thing that you would encourage couples to do on the daily that could significantly impact their marriage? So, how would you answer that question?
This is really easy for me and to answer, and a really simple thing for couples to do that can make a humongous difference, but most of us rarely do this.
Okay.
It's a 30-second hug.
Oh,
And what happens there, this is actually science, where about the 15-second mark of a embrace with your spouse, your body begins to release oxytocin. And oxytocin is what we call the love drug. It's the connection drug. It's the bonding drug in our bodies. And so if you just had a practice of a 30-second hug every single day, you are giving your body and your soul and your mind and your heart this connection that is done in this very simple practice that is so powerful and so meaningful for couples, but most of us don't do it.
yep. And 30 seconds, it's funny. When you do hug for 30 seconds, you think, this is an eternity. And it's actually just 30 seconds, but wow, it is so powerful. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for all of this fantastic information. I really hope that our listeners take it to heart because it could be life-changing for them individually and in their marriage. So thank you for being so generous.
Well, thanks, Julie. It's been great talking with you today.
Thank you all for listening to Marriage on the Daily. For more resources and updates, you can go to marriageonthedaily.com, and we will certainly have Mike's book there and his website so that you can find that. And if you appreciated this podcast and can think of other people that could benefit from hearing it, I would ask you to share it. That's how we grow, and we're also helping other marriages in the process. So please share away. And until next time, remember, it's the little things that matter daily in your marriage.